All the opinions expressed in this live video are that of the speakers and not necessarily reflect that of the brands. A very, very good evening to one and all present here. Thank you so much for taking out time to be here with us today. And especially rejoining us on Instagram at 7:30 today and reaffirming the commitment towards a harmonious and a more diverse online environment. Thank you, everyone. Being an internet service provider, we thought it's only right for us to do our bit to make life better on the internet. So we came to the realization how cyberbullying is such a pervasive issue in the society. With the recent developments, it only felt right that it needs to be addressed more and more today. It is a really layered issue and it needs to be addressed, especially given the victims are mostly of a younger age. So it is very difficult for them to understand these behaviors and let alone deal with them. Then we came to the campaign where we want to acknowledge what is the real meaning of cyberbullying, a term which is mainly known by everyone but sometimes used loosely. Its impact, its manifestations, and most importantly, one line, if crossed, can contribute to cyberbullying. And we would wanted to show and highlight how the nuances of cyberbullying and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable on the internet. And when that one line of defense can make all the difference. And that, my dear friends, is our Draw the Line campaign. Board with us. So taking that forward, we today have an expert with us, Nirali Bhatia. I think she is just being added. So we'll just wait for it. Hi, Nirali.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm very well. Tell me,
Hi, I think,
are we live? Are we ready?
yes, we are live and ready. I think your voice can be a bit louder for our audiences.
A bit louder?
Yes.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, it's really better. Yeah, thank you. So before we
Okay,
jump right
thank you.
in talking about cyberbullying, so I'll just like to introduce my audience to you. So Nirali Bhatia is a counseling psychologist and a certified cognitive behavioral therapist and an internet addiction therapist also. With 2 decades of experience and specializing in cyberspace, it gives her an edge to understand how technology influences the users. And a cherry on top, she's also the co-founder of CyberBAP, uh, anti-cyberbullying organization. What a great name! And the acronym, which stands for Cyberbullying Awareness, Action, and Prevention. So a very, very hearty welcome, Nirali.
Thank you, Anusha. And thank you, Spectra, for inviting CyberBAP and inviting me to address this cause, which is actually rising and burning like fire.
So would you like to tell our audiences, like at the outset, how cyberbullying has impacted the digital space, specifically when people more and more are spending their time on social media, and something about what you do?
Sure. So, we all understand that internet technology today has become an absolutely integral part of our lives. Like, we wake up to a digital gadget and we sleep just next to it. And social media also has become the most used or the most common area of our lives. Our part lives are on the social spaces. And hence, so I think about 2016 was when I was doing these cyber safety and digital hygiene workshops in school. And after every workshop, I used to get n number of emails saying, "Ma'am, this is what has happened to me." And I was like, these are young kids. They have no clue where to go, what to do. And that's where we decided to come up with an organization which would handhold them. I don't want any single person feeling that there is no hope or there is no one to listen to them or what to do. And that's where CyberBAP was founded. So we are an organization who helps every single victim of cyberbullying in terms of how to file a report, how to deal with it, how to manage your life with bullying, how not to get scared of this. And not only the victims, also the bullies, because many of the bully themselves do not know when they have become a bully. And that's
Absolutely.
exactly what resonates the campaign that y'all are running, draw the line. So that's exactly what we also preach, where to draw the line.
Okay, we're really thankful that yes, it is being getting to some audiences that it'll actually make some difference. And I think you are the Samaritan that we need and we want. So that's really, really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know our audiences are ready with their questions today, and they really, really want to hear, and we have a lot of ground to cover. So maybe let's start with one question that we got from Disita Samantha today. So her question was,
Okay.
what responsibilities do social media networks have towards cyberbullying?
Yeah, well, it's a very, very interesting and an important question. Yes, social media service providers like Instagram, like Facebook, WhatsApp, or any other platforms, they also have their policies in place. They also have very low tolerance or next to zero tolerance for bullying. But the point is, how many of us are reporting? Now, it's a very automated process. Let's all understand that. So, when you report, they have laid down a certain categories and the criterias. If your report matches that criteria, they will definitely enact.
Okay.
Never said the less that it does not take away our own responsibility of knowing where to draw a line and of also standing up for ourselves, of reporting it to them. Many of us do not do that believing that kuch hota nahi hai. Nobody is looking into my complaint or nobody is taking any action, but that's not true. They will take into action provided you're matching the criteria that they have set in.
Okay. So,
Yes.
like,
So please
given,
use the button report.
yes, and when sometimes I think people are not able to report and not reach out. So maybe it's due to lack
Yes.
of support, or I don't know, they just aren't up to talking at that point of time. So, what should they be doing?
So let me give you with an example that let's take a very recent example in this period of lockdown where all of us are bound to the four walls of homes. Internet space has become a go-to place for us. It's a place to escape, to entertain, and hence the traffic on social media has increased, and of course, it has brought in a lot of bullying incidents. I
Yeah.
alone at CyberBAP have got more than 250 reports of bullying victims who have written to me. And 80% of these victims are in the age group of 13 to 19 and 20,
Okay.
not knowing what to do, where to do. So what they are really scared to talk to their parents because of the reaction.
True.
They don't know. Sometimes we don't know who the perpetrator is, and sometimes we know, but we don't know what to do. And that's where we step in.
Yeah.
We actually handhold them, guide them, and tell them how can they manage this. Of course, the first step is always save the screenshots of the issue that has happened, so it helps in reporting. Second is block and report, and that on that particular platform. Ask also your friends and family to do so, so that in the same category, so it gets immediate attention. Third is do not think that you can handle it alone. The impact of bullying is not visible. It's not
Yeah.
like a physical wound that people will understand what you're going through.
True.
And when you don't address it, it slowly grows within and can manifest into a bigger mental health issue if not addressed at the right time. So please make sure that you talk to someone you trust, and we are always there as professionals to help. So please talk about it, reach out to the people, do understand what is bullying.
Yeah. I think that's a really insightful issue that you've just pointed out, that how if it is not dealt with, it may also expand to a
Yes,
mental health issue. So that's really right. I think
yes.
someone has also given their input there. I think Ayushi Mehta. So over the
Mhm.
time, internet has become a very toxic and intolerant space. There are people being nasty to each other. I think this takes to me the takes to the problem of trolls. So how should we deal with it? Like, there's a thing that we ignore them, or we just like answer back to them. What should
Yes.
be done?
So I will answer this in two parts. The first part, yes, Ayushi is very correctly pointed out that people have started using this space and made it very toxic for a lot of them. So the unfortunate thing is that while these social spaces give us the freedom to express, to
Yeah.
talk, but none of us acknowledge the appropriate responsibility of expressing.
Okay.
And also, because the expressing is via the screen, any interaction via the screen does get impacted by the disinhibition effect of screen.
Okay.
Where what I mean by disinhibition effect is that when we are interacting with a screen, we are not able to see the other person. The way human mind is designed to understand communication is we need to study the body language, we need to
Yeah.
hear, we need to feel, we need at least three of our senses triggered. But
Yeah.
via screen, that doesn't happen. So the effect that takes over is it helps you emote more and talk less. So you are expressing out of your emotions. There is because you cannot see that person, so you're going with your own gut feeling and your own emotive feeling. So it makes it easier to trust. So very extreme reactions of disinhibition. One is benign, where you indulge into oversharing of information, and the other one is toxic, where you do not realize where to draw a line, that
Okay.
how far can you vent out, or how far can you go on saying negative things, and this is what exactly leads. So this is the first part, where and why it is happening. The
Okay.
second part is that if we need to eradicate this problem right from the roots. That is, we need to literally educate people on netiquettes, on how to communicate in digital spaces,
Yeah.
because until and unless they are taught about that, they wouldn't know that where should they be drawing that line, or when it is becoming a criminal act of trolling or bullying. And now coming to the third part, that if you have been trolled, what should you do? So of course, the first is that let's understand these are all public spaces.
Yeah.
If we are going to express our opinions over here, it is bound to have all sorts of reactions. Some would be in our favor, some would be negative. So the first thing is, if you can, please ignore, block, and move on. If you cannot, then give them a firm warning, but do not ever retaliate. That's exactly what the bullies and the trolls want, your attention and your reaction. If you take away that, then it will not progress further. So never retaliate. Give them a firm warning. Are you that saying that you are not okay with this and they should stop, or
Yeah.
else you will complain. And then the third step is please make and complain to the platform as well as to the National Cybercrime Portal.
Okay.
So this is how you can manage the trolling and the bullying that happens in this space.
I think that's really, really helpful. This three stages, especially how to take the deal with the trolls, let's say. But what happens is with the disinhibition effect, many people are not okay with confronting people or not be
Yes.
able to just say it right out. So maybe they drop hints, but that's where the problem comes in. That like if a person cannot actively say no, and how should that be dealt with?
So, like every new thing comes with a rules, comes with a certain traits that we need to follow. So, for example, if you go to another country, you need to learn the language of that country to be able to communicate over there.
Yeah.
Same way, it's very important that we learn the netiquettes and the digital communication. But nevertheless, the base rule stays always be polite. Understand that the communication via screen is always interpreted basis your feeling. So let's say, given an example, if right now I post something, or if someone calls me right now and I just put a auto message saying I'm busy, I can't take your call. They haven't heard me, they haven't seen me. They will interpret it the way they feel. So if the person who called me is not in a very positive frame of mind, may think that, oh my God, she's ignoring me or she's having an attitude. And the person who's in a positive frame of mind may feel, okay, fine, she will call back later.
Yeah.
So the point here is it's got nothing to do with what I have said. It will always be interpreted the way you are feeling. So if we understand this, we can excuse a lot of content and we can accordingly frame our style of communication in these social spaces.
Yeah, I think this happens to all of us. Like when we are texting, if someone uses all caps, so
Yes.
even if he or she did not mean to, but it comes out as shouting. So yes, it gives a lot of
Yes.
vagueness on how people infer to what the person has said and how the person is feeling.
Very true.
So I think
True.
psychiatrics, if I am not misspelling, so they are just asking, can you just add on to the screen time recent guidelines and the impact of online education? So I think
Sure.
how many hours are
That's really a very significant question. And lucky for us that Indian Psychiatric Society, IPS, has very recently, just last week, come out with the guidelines for screen time for Indian audiences. So if I have to say it in a nutshell, for 0 to 2, zero screen time. 0
Hmm.
to 2 years of age, zero screen time. 3 to 6, not more than half an hour to 1 hour, but that too monitored and controlled. Like they should
Okay.
not have their own devices, use the parent's device and monitor what you're showing them. It could be just simple YouTube videos or something. 6 to 9 is also not more than 1 year. 1 hour, 1 hour of screen time, and no social media, only educative or only in terms of some games which are age appropriate.
Okay.
9 to 13 is where you can go to 2 hours, considering the educational work also coming on to screen time. Now, these are all the guidelines which are supposed to be balanced. And 14 onwards also, it's appropriate. 2 to 3 hours is max that we should be managing. But practically, I understand because of the current scenario that yes, our schooling is online, our work is online, so
Yeah.
our screen time has increased, no doubts. But try to differentiate in productive screen time and in entertainment screen time. That makes a huge difference that for what you are using, number one. Number two, appropriate precautions like try and wear a UV protected or a screen guards specs if
If
you
you
are
want
going
to
to
have
have
long
long time
time
on
on
screen
screen
time.
time.
Also,
Also,
not
not
at the
at the
night time. Yes, not before the bedtime. Try and switch it off at least 30 to 40 minutes before the bedtime so that the blue rays that are coming from the screen do not tell your brain that it is still daytime.
okay.
So these are the few guidelines if we follow, we can manage our screen time much better. A lot of devices today have an inbuilt monitoring for what have you used your screen for and how many times have you used. Please use that feature. It actually gives you an insight of how much time you have spent where, and you can also keep logs.
Okay.
Like, for self-constraint that, okay, I want to spend only 20 minutes on Instagram, put it there.
Yeah.
So after 20 minutes for next 24 hours, it will lock it.
Okay.
So you can that way also manage and monitor. But it all has to begin from us that we want to do this.
I think one part of the question is also about when it comes to social media, what is the correct age for a person to have an account? Does it start from, say, early teens, 13 or so, or it should be after like a specific 15 or passing out college? What's the age here?
So, well, technically, Indian guidelines are not very specific about at what age you should go. And honestly, there cannot be a specific age. Though the service providers have their criterias that, 13 is usually the age where they are accepting, but there is no validation. We have seen a newborn kid also having a social media account,
Okay.
managed, of course, by the parents. But if you ask me what is the right age, I would rather ask a question back, why you want to go on social media? If you have an answer which is much more, like a productive use, if you can say, then yes, that is the right age to go on social media. But unfortunately, what happens is it's the peer pressure that decides which is the right age to go on social media. So I seriously don't have a set answer for this because there can never be. It's the maturity level, it's the use for which you want to go on social media. You could be a young entrepreneur at an age of 9 and 10 who wants to promote the business or a social cause that you're leading, then social media is a fantastic platform. So it could start as early as that, but if you really do not have a purpose why you want to be there, then please prolong it as long as you can, because there is nothing that you're missing out over here
Yeah,
unless you know what you want to do.
yeah. The usage,
So
that's an important
that's the thing. But yes, if for typically for parents, if I have to say, then the day the peer pressure starts building, don't push it under the covers. Instead of your child, going and opening an account behind your back, the day they come and ask you, sit with them and make their accounts so
okay.
that you can explain to them what all, privacy settings they can keep, what things can go wrong, educate them. Because if the peer pressure has started and you push it away, they will any which ways have an account.
I think that's very
So might
important.
as well take that opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. It's really nice. So we have one more question. I think everyone is
Yes,
really
sure.
excited here. So thank you, Pulkit, for a hi and a wave. Pragya. We have another question from SHVX. How do I complain to the
Okay.
National Cybercrime Portal?
How do I complain? Okay. So we have our national cybercrime portal as cybercrime.gov.in. Now, this portal has two categories. One is for crime against women and children. So, if you are a woman or if the crime has happened with a child, then you use that tab to complain. Or if you have, or if anybody else who is not falling in these two categories can complain on this. My only thing is that if you want your complaint to be addressed, please do not complain anonymously and make sure the victim complains. Unless the victim is a child, because many times the victims don't speak up, they feel scared because they will ask you to reveal your identity and you must. And the moment you will complain over there, giving all the actual facts, they also have a provision to share screenshots of the incident that has happened. You
Okay.
will get a call from them. You will get a case number. You will get a call from them. You have to have, I cannot tell you that exactly in 2 days, 3 days, basis the severity of the case and basis the circumstances around. Like, of course, in the COVID times, there is a slight delay, but normally they will call you back. Also, if the matter does not end after the complaint online, you can visit any nearest police station with the complaint number that you've got from your online complaint, and your matter will be automatically expedited to any local police station. You don't have to go to a cyber cell. You can go to any nearest local police station. If you are under age of 18, please take along any adult who needs to accompany you. And if you are above 18, you can go by yourself and make a complaint.
Okay. Thank you for this. I think that's a very important part that needs
Pleasure.
to be covered because most of the people don't know if they know that, yes, I'm being cyberbullied, but what's next? How to deal with it? So, yeah, that is very,
Right.
very important. So, the next question we have is sometimes what happens, the cyberbullying does not start directly with harassment. It just starts with, say, a friendly banter or just calling out or like calling out names, but it is just a compounding effect, and one day the person feels this is not right. So how do you
Right.
identify such behaviors in people?
So, thank you for asking me this. And very recently, I have had a couple of cases which began like this. So, it's amongst the peer groups where on Instagram they have, either on a DM they've made a silly comment, or on the post itself. Now, how you gauge that this can lead to bullying or something? Firstly, let's understand that anything that goes in social space. This space being very narrow, the world becomes very narrow on internet. So if your profile is not private, depending on your number of followers, you are going to have that much attention over there. If in the first instance itself, it has hurt you, please make sure that you communicate that you tell that person, look, I'm not okay with this comment. I am not feeling good about it. Can you please take it down? And if that does not, so it's about telling them that, look, because many times the same thing, if I tell you in person, would be very different. Like, to give you an example, let's say you and me are talking in a classroom, and I tell you that, oh my God, you're looking a little fat in this dress. It's only between just the people in the class, or a communication between you and me. But when this communication is extended in a cyberspace, I would have told you same as a friend that this dress, you're looking fat. It is going to invite attention from so many more people
That's true, very true.
that smallest thing can become very big, and it could I could feel sensitive about it. So it's the first step that you do is, even if it is the smallest and the silliest comment, it's important to tell that person that this is not the place. You want to tell me something, please send me a private message, or say, call me and tell me, but don't use this platform. So even the other person realizes that, oh yes, because most of the times they don't realize
True.
that how it can spread.
I think this also takes us back to the conversation of having some cyber hygiene, or might I say, a social media etiquette. So even
Yes,
as small as things as how you comment on a picture or how you put forth your point becomes very important. And since social media is such an uncontrollable space of sorts, so it becomes all the more important. So yes, I think next we can
absolutely.
move forward to another question. So I think we have covered this, but if you want to address this, what is difference
Sure.
between a banter and bullying? Where is where do I
Yes,
draw the line?
like I said, that it's on how the other person is feeling. Because, like, you see, when you are texting me, I cannot gauge your intent. You would have told me that, as simple as, are you stupid? But if it has hurt me, it can become bullying. So I need to communicate, look, this is not the platform. To save or to safeguard each of us over here, let's please understand that this is not a place to make even a simplest banter also.
Hmm.
If you want to have a personal communication, please use personal spaces and not the public spaces or social media spaces. Here, having a meaningful presence is having dual significance. First, yes, you are making the most use of this platform. The second is that it also adds up to your digital footprints.
True.
Let me highlight this a little here, because Instagram has most young audience. Most of them are students still, or they are young budding entrepreneurs, or young starters. What you do today on social media is going to be there forever. What you comment, what you like, what you share, we call it as your social currency. Spend it wisely and accumulate a good one. Your digital footprints are going to make your entire social background. So tomorrow, when you are applying to your dream universities, to your dream jobs, you don't want to risk it by having an inappropriate social conduct. So mind your digital footprints, and the key to this is being absolutely polite and being very, very responsible in what are you talking and what are you endorsing.
I think that's a great thought to hold on to. And I think
For
that
sure.
more and more, even for jobs and for college applications, people are also doing a
Yes.
social media background check or sorts. So yeah,
Yes, people like us are hired to do that job. We do the entire net profiling and we give a report. In fact, I have had two cases where two of the children, they had applied to universities abroad, and the reason of rejection was inappropriate social conduct. So it's not like this is futuristic, it's already happening.
yeah.
So yes, when we checked, when the student came to me extremely depressed because two universities has rejected him and all, we said, let's go through your social media. And literally, there was nothing which was beyond entertainment over there.
Yeah.
So obviously, no university is looking to, give a seat to someone who does not have a vision, who does not have a goal, or who has not used as powerful place as social media for a valid reason. If you don't have your own goals and aims, at least do not simply use it for entertainment. Then just be a
Yeah.
spectator and learn new things here.
I think your voice is breaking a bit.
Now is it okay?
Yeah, a bit better. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the point is, please make sure that you are aware what kind of digital footprints you are leaving in social spaces,
Yeah.
because that's what is going to be there forever.
Yeah. I think that realization comes a bit late, but that's a very, very important point that it is going to be there till eternity. So there
Yes.
also comes a point where we have talked about the victim and the bully, but
Hmm.
what happens when the person is just a bystander? He or she is seeing a case, or he or she is seeing someone getting bullied or someone being bullied. So there are two things: how we reach out to the victims and how to we deal with bullies. They just might be someone we know, but how to just reach out to them and
Right.
tell them that this is not okay, and if help them with any help that they or support that they actually need, because there might be some unresolved
Correct.
reasons why this behavior is reflecting on the social media.
Sure. So, yes, now unfortunately, we don't have any strict or any separate laws for bystanders, but let's also understand that being a bystander after a point is a myth. Because if you do not stand up for the victim, you are by default with the perpetrator. So it is important that instead of being a bystander, you take your stand. Eventually, you will be on one of the sides. So might as well cautiously and consciously take your side.
Yeah.
In using the same technology, you can actually stand up with the victims, help them fight through the bullying that is happening, and make good use of this. This will all add up to your digital footprint also. Also, this is what will display a very, very responsible behavior on internet. So to give you a very small example, I had got very recently one of the case where in online Zoom class, there were a few kids who were a bit notorious and they were targeting one particular person. So now, on Zoom, you can change your display name. So to harass the kid, what they did was that they started adding very weird statements and dash his name, the victim's name. So everyone was making that as their profile name. Those two, three perpetrators who were acting notorious, they were making that name. Well, there were 30 other children in the class. For initial 5 minutes, there was nothing, but they realized that, it is becoming very embarrassing for the victim.
Yeah.
So rest 27, out of them, the first person who was initially a bystander for initial 5 minutes, he or she decided to take the stand and he made a counter, display name in support of the victim.
Yeah.
Within next 7 minutes, another 27 kids also did that same. So obviously it was the same technology, it was the same this thing, and the bullies also realized that, well, they cannot actually bully like this because people are together. And it helps them bond, it helps them understand how to use the same technology. If had those others not supported and simply laughed off, this kid would have actually gone through so much of mental trauma. But today he could stand tall and fight through this because he had that support. So let's stand up for people we know. Like I said, that if you don't stand up for the victim, you are by default choosing to be with the bullies or be with the perpetrators.
I think support is really, really important, and especially in these cases where at least the
Yes,
person can or should have someone to reach out to or talk to. That's really good.
absolutely.
I think we have a question from Dr. Neeraj here. So if you can throw some light on how media plays an important role in whole of this situation and whatever impact that it brews?
Well, that's $1 million question that uh, of course, media plays a very huge role because let's understand that anyone who is in a position of influencing others, there is an underlying responsibility that comes with whatever they say, whatever they act, or whatever they do. Now, if we, as people in authoritative position, people in influencing positions like media, if they do not take up that responsibility, that is going to lead to a lot of negative impact. Well, I would not want to specifically name out, but we are seeing what's happening with the recent traumatic incident of we losing a Bollywood actor. And that's the biggest example that how insensitivity on part of media can lead to what all, even after the person's no longer with us. So certainly media has a very, very big role in terms of being responsible with what they are saying because the impact is huge. They are in a position where they influence everyone's opinions.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really valid point here. And coming to cyberbullying, most people think it's
Hmm.
restricted to only social media, like the main, say, mean comments or unsolicited messages on DMs. But what about if a random person adds you to groups? And then there's
Yes,
kind of harassment where you don't know those people, and then all of those people are texting you personally. So, what is that
correct.
true?
So of course, that is also another social space. Yes, it's a little bit different from this, where now you're being harassed on your chat platforms, basically. Of course, it is also a part of bullying that if without your consent you have been added to any particular groups, you have the liberty to make a complaint of this. It also, so like I initially said, that there are certain etiquettes to be followed. If you are a group leader and if without someone's consent, or a group admin is the correct term on these platforms. So if you are an admin and without the consent of other person, if you're adding them, you are liable to being reported.
Okay.
If from your group, if you're from your group, if you've not laid out the rules very clear that, no personal messages would be entertained or they are supported by this group and everything, then also you are liable. So group admins also have a very good amount of responsibility that they have to take care of when they are running and managing groups. And of course, even for such platforms like Snapchats or Telegrams or WhatsApp, each one of them have the facility to report. So please use those buttons to report and make sure that the platforms also know, because until and unless we don't report, how would they know?
True.
So that needs to be done.
Thank you for that question. I think that gets answered. So we have another question from Nagibanam. What to do when
Okay.
one is accused of playing a victim during an online debate? Much like gaslighting, the blame is put on you.
So, well, I can understand it's a very tough situation to be in. So let's understand, irrespective of whether it is happening online or offline, when you are in a debate position and somebody is accusing you, the best thing is not to react, but give a response. You stick to your firm response. Now, this is very common on platforms like Twitter and social spaces also like Facebook and Instagram as well, where, if there is certain topic on which people are talking, which are the trending topics, and if you are going to have a difference of opinion, there would be people who would pounce on you. No doubts about that. That yes, it is the reality of the situation. The best is do not retaliate. Do not go to defend, because that's exactly what they want. They come with their mindset that yes, this is so. It's very common in cases of celebrities where you say something against a celebrity and the fan base will come and attack you. Some couple of years back, I had a case of a particular, she is a free press writer, journalist, who had commented on a very top or elite South star, like a South Indian film industry star. And after her comment, within some, let's say, half an hour or something, she had got literally 10,000 plus comments trolling her, threatening her, assaulting her, or virtual, of course. And the threats were also that they would cause physical harm. So, yes, this is an organized trolling, and that can happen. The best thing is just withdraw for that time being, but don't retaliate, do not respond, because that will not end it, it will only aggravate. Take those screenshots and please report.
Okay.
That's the ideal thing to do.
I hope this answers your question, Nagib. So, moving on, we just want to understand what are the signs and symptoms, what are the red flags that you can notice and identify for yourself also, that if you are a victim or a bully, and not just for everyone else. What are the key indicators for yourself that you can identify?
So there are a few. The first goes with when you read something, how does that make you feel? If it is and also understanding that are you reacting to what you've read, or it's a baggage of the entire day and now you are reacting to it.
Okay.
So first key lies in understanding your own personality. If you are a personality who is more sensitive, who gets a little influenced a little faster,
Yeah.
then it is better you stay away from these spaces when you are not in a stable frame of mind, or emotionally stable. See, none of us can be emotionally stable throughout the day.
True.
Our emotions are always flowing. So this is not the place to vent out. The moment you feel that someone is venting out or something, stay away from them. Don't react to them on that. So that's then the other factor that you can see for yourself is that there is a pattern in so every time you post, if there is a certain type of comment that always keeps coming, then that's another flag which you don't miss. You take a screenshot and keep reporting that and see how frequently it is being happening. So being watchful, having all your privacy settings in place is absolutely non-compromisable. If you are a public page, then yes, then the key lies in what are you putting has to be absolutely neutral, which is not going to invite any kind of inflammation from anywhere, not hurting anyone's sentiments.
True. Okay. Thank you for this also. And
Most
when
welcome.
we talk about others' sentiments and seeing if the other person will be okay with it, comes the question about triggers. So, a word and how the things are said, we never know what must be a trigger for a person and whatever he has gone through. And given the social media space,
Yes.
there's a lot of comparison of how trauma or how traumatic one's experience has been in comparison to the others. So, should we be telling those experiences or stories, and what needs to be done that way?
So let's understand that, unfortunately, what has happened is this whole social space is given everyone a dream of becoming instantly popular. And to become instant popular and have lot of fans and all, uh, people are very okay resorting to any extent. While we all have understood that, yes, roasting, meaning, putting down someone, making jokes on someone gets us immediate attention. So that's how this all begins. That's how, people are getting insensitive and they simply roast. So I had a case like this where I think he was about 23 years old,
Okay.
and he wrote to me that, it's a group that I have been part of. It's a group which talks about media, but in a different context. So it was a private group, and when he made a comment, when the admin posted something, he put his own views, saying that I don't agree to this. Now with that, then it attracted a few negative comments. So he wrote to the admin that, look, these comments are disturbing to me. Can you please get them deleted? The response he got was, no, let them be. No, it is getting me so many, I had 10,000 followers. Now within 1 hour, I'm having extra 1,000 followers. So this is what it is leading to. This is how it's becoming very insensitive, because we are all running towards becoming famous, having more followers at the cost of being insensitive towards everyone and anyone. But
Yeah.
let's understand that these followers and these people are tomorrow. If today you are a bully somewhere, tomorrow you can be a victim at another place. And at that point of time, these 10,000 and 20,000 followers are not the ones who are going to come back to you or to come and stand by you. So let's make sure that we are very sensitive empathetic towards others, to
Yeah.
not hurt anyone's sentiments. You can earn followers by doing good work as well. It's not necessary that you have to put down someone.
I think that's a really great point, given that there's this luring effect where people just want to affirm or support whatever is trending or whatever their
Yes,
peers or their bubbled world is adhering to or subscribing to. So yes, I think that becomes a
true.
ripple effect of sorts where everyone wants to like either please or just be unique or show themselves as unique. So yes, I think we are back to the
Yes.
disinhibition effect. That is also cited. So coming to that, majority of the cases are also with people who are really young. So how can parents or friends or teachers just talk to them so that there's an open conversation? Most of the times there are barriers of what if I tell my parents or anyone in charge or anyone responsible, and they might just say ki, no more social media for you or no more internet for you. So we don't want that.
Yes.
What is the way out and how one should approach a victim?
So let's understand firstly that now this is a new age, and this is the new digital era for the children of this generation. So they are going to have different challenges. We as adults who are not the natives of digital era, but we are migrants, we have learned and we've adapted to this era. We also need to understand that with this new platform, with this new technology, the kind of problems that will come will also be new. So if your children have made mistakes online, or have fallen prey to any kind of crime online, or have been victims to on, don't just jump to a conclusion and don't react in a way like you said. Most parents usually do that. Okay, you must have done something wrong. Kal se social media band, or they take away the devices, which will actually push away the children. The thing is, listen to them, understand that yes, it is human to make mistakes, and there is nothing which is not irreversible. The damages can be irreversible. You have to stand by with them. So being a patient listener is the best thing that you can do to any victim. Believe them, trust them, make them feel that they are heard. And if you do not have a solution, please approach to a professional that you know, and make sure that the victim does get certain help, because not necessary that everyone knows what to do if you are bullied. But there are professionals like us available, and we are there to help this. Make sure that you make the victim feel heard and give them hope, because the wounds of bullying and trolling or any kind of cybercrime is not visible, so people cannot empathize. A lot of bullying victims suffer inside and inside, because okay, the outcome is they are sad, they are withdrawn, they don't feel like talking, they have challenges in trusting. But people externally, their family or their friends, they really cannot empathize them to an extent where if you see a child with a broken leg, you can empathize, you will go and give a chair, you will go and give a helping hand. But a child who has gone through bullying, you
Yeah.
cannot see the wounds. So it becomes very difficult, and they feel very lonely and very alone. They feel so scared that they actually withdraw themselves. Any victim, irrespective of the age, not necessarily always the children are victims. There are as many adults who have been victims to various kinds of cybercrimes.
True.
So believe them, give them a listening ear, and help them reach to some professionals to get appropriate help,
Yeah.
be it counseling, be it reporting, in both the spaces. It is absolute must that talk and get counseled.
I think that's really, really important that we believe the other person and try to help them and that show to them that yes, we are here for
Yes.
support. So Ankita
Yes.
also, I think, supports the point where she's saying such a powerful point. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Ankita.
I think one more question, that's my personal question here. So we get
Sure.
clickbait bait ads and emails. And when if we click to those sites, they're very misleading. So is that also a form of cyberbullying?
It becomes phishing. If a child is involved, everything is labeled under bullying, but otherwise, technically, it is a phishing. So the thumb rule you need to remember is there are no free lunches on internet. Come what may. Nobody is giving you free iPhone 10s or a Cadbury's hamper or any other device or gadget. Please understand that these are only and only phishing emails they send out to the masses. See, we leave our numbers and email IDs at various places, and this data is actually literally collected and sold in the deep dark web for all kinds of purposes. So a lot of people buy from there. They will send you, you will get emails like, Cadbury's has completed 100 years, click here to win a hamper,
Yeah.
or Apple is giving a new iPhone 10 to the lucky 10 users, click here. Or you will also get an email like Uganda Prince wants to make you their hire and click here. And there are new age crimes also coming where it would come from someone impersonating your friend or your family's ID and tell you that, look, I'm stranded here and can you help me with some money? Or my family is in hospital and I'm not having access to my bank account. Please verify all of this. Whatever you will not do in real world is exactly what, and double of it is what you will not do in virtual world. These links are nothing but malicious codes. Either they will take you to a website where there would be demeaning content or a sexual content, or they will install any kind of malware into your devices, which could also compromise
Yeah.
the content on your device. So do not ever click any link from an unknown source. Make sure your antiviruses on your devices are always updated. The software of your devices is always updated. We invest in gadgets, but we forget to invest in its security.
Yeah.
Do not compromise on that.
I think we must all remember that point. Antivirus and not clicking on all of these clickbaits and being responsible and doing the
Yes,
hygiene check for us.
there is no free lunch.
Yeah, that's also very true. I think
Yes,
taking your point on impersonation, we have a question from Alexis. Someone recently
sure.
created an account in my name and I reported it, but it disturbed me a lot.
Yes.
I'm not sure how to shrug that feeling off.
So, Alexis, that's exactly the point why I insist that please get counseled. Please talk to a counselor. Why a counselor? I'll tell you. A lot of times, people come and ask us counselors that why do we have to pay for talking? We can talk to our friend, but let's understand counseling is different from talking. There is an objective set to it. We are trained to be non-judgmental, to have a holistic view, and we don't make decisions for you. We only and only tell you that what things can be looked at in a different
Yeah,
perspective. So
true.
getting counseled and not shoving down your feelings, because it's like a pressure cooker. If you keep pressing and if you don't let it whistle, someday it will blast. And if you are feeling disturbed, now when you interact on a social space, you will operate or interact out of emotive and extreme emotive feeling. So it would become like you're wearing a blue color glass. You will see everything blue and you will react to that.
Yeah.
So it's better that you get counseled, and then See, counseling, let me clear this myth, take this opportunity to clear that myth also, that it is not only for mental illness.
Yeah.
It's not that if you are going to a counselor, you have a mental illness. That is a big, big myth. Each one of us, in at any point of time in life, wherever we feel that we are not able to resiliate, whether it is feelings, whether it is decisions in life, whether it is some kind of circumstances, events in life, we are not able to bounce back, that's where we should seek professional help. Not necessarily only for mental illnesses. Yes, if you keep suppressing, there could be a chance that it can convert into a particular, clinical disorder. So please talk to someone who is professional and who's a skilled and a trained counselor.
I think yes, talking is really important, and why like it
Yes,
comes to a compounding experience where you just bottle up those emotions, and one day they just might
it
explode,
will.
and like
Yes,
that is the extent you
correct.
should not even reach. So that's where talking is really very important. So I totally
Correct.
agree. And we have some more questions. I have one more. So has another question where if you're in a very tight group and you see your fellow, say a friend or anyone that you know really well, but you are innovative, I should not tell the person that he or she is doing wrong or the person might be bullying someone. And it comes to an extent where you think if you don't subscribe to their opinions, then you might be just taken out or not being included. So it'll lead to exclusion, and which feels really, really bad. So how to deal with that?
It is a tricky situation, but let me ask you that one question that if you genuinely are a friend of that person, and if you see your friend, walking through the road and is going to about to fall in a pit, would you not stop him?
We will.
That's exactly. So that's exactly what you do. That if you see that your friend is bullying or is, being nasty online, as a friend, as a well-wisher, you definitely talk to them. You inform them that, look, your act can hurt somebody else. If they still do not understand, then you have to take a very conscious call whether you want to just stick around for that and not match those ideologies. I'm not saying the person is bad, but at this point of time, he or she is not in a position to differentiate between right or wrong. So at that point of time, you need to take your stand, what you want to stand with. And what you do now is what is going to go ahead as your way of addressing things in life. If you just keep on giving in, when will you have your own say? When will you have your own beliefs?
That's true. That's true. I think standing
I
up.
understand that, peer pressure can lead to this, but then trust me, having few good friends is far more powerful and impactful and happy space than having many friends with whom your ideologies don't match. Because someday being a bystander will land you in a trouble.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. That one day we'll have to ultimately be at one point of side, and it takes a lot of strength
Yes,
to do that. But at the end of the day, it is the right thing to do. So yeah.
correct.
So I think we can take one last question.
Okay.
Okay. I think we have no more questions. So, any concluding
Oh,
remarks you have
great.
for us, or any key takeaways? Although we have a lot of things to take with us and they'll rest with us. So, anything?
Sure. So, there is one magic thing or one magic mantra that I always recommend all the users of social media spaces or internet spaces is we call it practice the pause. Before you like something, you share something, you forward, or you comment, or you post, always practice the pause. Ask yourself what you're liking. Do you really endorse that? Do you agree to that idea, or are you doing it out of a herd mentality, or out of, being socially acceptable? Like if your boss is putting, we blindly say like whether we agree or not agree. But we
Yeah.
don't realize that if we don't practice that pause, we don't know that what are we promoting, what are we leading to. So practicing that pause can go a very long way in us being far more responsible in interacting on this spaces. So
True.
practice this pause and mind your digital footprints. Make sure that you have a very beautiful footprint. When somebody searches your name, all they see is a lovely experience, and they feel good and happy to
Yeah.
visit. So these are the two things. If all of us start taking seriously and putting in conscious effort, we will have amazing experience on these platforms.
I think we all can make life better on the internet, and detach to attach is
Absolutely.
a great point that you made. So I think we can end here, and I really thank you for taking out time and doing this with us. And I would also really like to thank our audiences. And has been an illuminating session, and I'm sure I echo the thoughts of everyone when I say this. So thanks a lot
Thank you.
to
Thank you
our
so much.
audience.
Thank you, Spectra, for once again, having us be part of a lovely campaign that you guys are running of Draw the Line. Thank you so much. And as your tagline says, let's make life and cyberspace better for each one of us.
Yes, that's really right. And I would also like to thank our audiences for taking out time today. And also, if you want to know more about this issue, we have a microsite in place, which is drawtheline.spectra.co. So we would love to hear your thoughts on that, and just use the hashtag drawtheline. And lastly, we all want to make life better. So all we need to just do is draw the line. And that's me signing off. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.